In case Anshul Jubilee manages to win in February, I think the markets are going to open up, and hopefully 2024 we could look at an event. We have 8 weight categories.
Somesh, welcome back to another chat with LockerRoom India YouTube channel. So I understand that you have some big updates regarding Road to UFC 2023. So we'll get straight to it. Right? So tell us what should we know about Road to UFC 2023?
Absolutely. So the first edition of Road to UFC was conceptualized in 2022, and our aim was to get the best talent out of the Asian countries like China, India. We also looked at Singapore, Indonesia, some fighters from Korea, and I think that season basically had male MMA fighters from 3 weight classes, which is the 135-pound division, 145-pound division, and 155-pound division. We had 8 fighters in each category. The winner of each of the weight categories gets a contract with the UFC. What we have in store for 2023 is even more exciting. We have in total 8 weight categories, 5 for males and 3 for females. So Road to UFC 2023 is going to have 8 weight categories.
We have 8 weight categories from the flyweight division, which is 125 pounds, all the way up to welterweight, which is 170 pounds. We also have females this time from 115 pounds to 100 pounds. So we have weight and female. So in all, we have 8 weight categories coming up in Road to UFC 2023. And this is because of the success that we had for Road to UFC in 2022.
Awesome. So Road to UFC 2022 feature mostly Asian. So will 2023 be only focused on the Asian region, or are other regions also in the picture?
No, we are focusing on the Asian region again. However, we may have some Mongolian fighters. We're looking at some Japanese fighters. So yes, it is for the eastern side of the world.
Awesome. So you mentioned about these elaborated weight categories. So can you tell us what are the chances of seeing more Indian fighters in those weight categories in the next season?
Absolutely, yes. In fact, the first edition, we only had 2 Indian fighters. This time around, I don't have a cap on Indian fighters. I'm going to be scouting for as many Indian fighters to put on the circuit. But hopefully, we'll have at least 4 or 5 in the 2023 edition of Road to UFC.
So what are some of those parameters that you will be looking into when you are scouting for these fighters for the next season?
To be honest, I'm looking at guys who are, again, the parameters stay exactly the same, which it was for 2022. They need to be preferably coming off a win, having a decent pro record. The younger fighters will always have an upper hand.
So we know that there will be 8 weight categories. We know that the chance of seeing more Indian fighters are there. So what's the timeline that we are currently looking at in case of Road to UFC 2023?
So we are looking at the first edition to launch somewhere between May and June 2023. So we're looking at somewhere in the mid of 2023. I'm looking to finalize the list maybe by 31st of December. I will have the entire Indian roster with me by 31st of December. I'll get into my discussions with the head office in January. And hopefully in the first 15 days of January, we would have the Indian contingent ready for Road to UFC 2023.
So you probably had the scouting for the current edition as well. So are some of the fighters in the current scouting considered for the next season as well?
Absolutely, yes. Because I only had slots for maybe 2 or 3 fighters in the first edition. So there were very, very limited options. But this time around, looking at the performance of Anshul Jubilee, they have really given me the free hand and said, just get everybody and then we'll start shortlisting them. So definitely someone, if you ask me, someone like a Roshan Mainam definitely will be in this time. I'm hoping we can give a chance to the absolute smashing amateurs like Surbala, who just won the gold, and credible fighters like Sumit Bhayan.
Awesome. So we already had 2 male fighters. So you mentioned about Surbala. Is the female category something that you're focusing on this time around?
Well, in the world of MMA, what is happening is that the female fighters, not that there's more demand, but the vacuum is a little larger. and I guess the opportunities are much brighter in the female category. So, we do have a lot of other options where fighters from existing promotions are getting in touch with me to see if they can get a shot at Road to UFC. So I'm very excited for that.
So there's a lot of interest in the India market currently. So 2023 Road to UFC will be another great step towards that. So are there any other plans apart from Road to UFC as far as UFC is concerned when it comes to India?
We've been talking of a live show in India for quite a while. COVID did set us back by a few years, but honestly, in case Anshul Jubilee manages to win in February, I think the markets are going to open up, and hopefully 2024 we could look at an event. Nothing finalized, but I'm just going to be doing my job and pushing as much as possible.
Awesome. So we have this huge update. 2023 Road to UFC will commence next year. It will have 8 weight categories, including female weight categories, and we hope to see 4 to 5 Indians. So do you want to add anything on top of this huge news?
Well, what I would like to say, if anyone out there, see, I may not know the entire market out there, I may not know all the fighters, but whoever want to get in touch with me and kind of bounce off the record and see if we have an option, just check out the caption. Just read what's happening at Locker Room, and please get in touch with me. I would love to see a record. I would love to see what you can do, and I'm just hoping the Indian fighters make an absolute huge dhamaka in Road to UFC second edition, which is happening May, June 2023.